hats and sunglasses. Oh my!
Oh my!
Welcome to episode 11, season 2 of Better Than Broadway. I am Coach, joined with Chef Justin, who's in Savannah for St. Patrick's Day. You lucky bastard! Will oil be forked?
This is the best $4 I've ever spent in my life. You should have seen everybody last night walking around with this.
I heard it was crazy down there.
Oh,
Conor McGregor is in Savannah right now, for those of you that do not know, and he partook in the St. Patrick's Day Festival in Savannah, which I'm from Savannah. It's one of the biggest in the world, behind clearly Dublin and Boston. So probably the third or fourth biggest, if not the second biggest in the world now. But
I did a car bomb with McGregor last night.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Is that for real?
Pixar didn't have it.
Was it Mike McGregor, Conor McGregor, or Stephen McGregor? Because there's a lot of McGregors in Savannah.
I don't know. He was black.
Irish.
Which one's black?
That's Eric McGregor.
Okay.
Well, anyways, we have a very special, lovely guest today.
Yes,
my good friend, the actress, the influencer, Chelsea LeSage. Chelsea, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for breaking up this sausage party, Chelsea.
Yes,
it has been a sausage party since we've started.
See, what they don't know is that I'm not ladylike at all. So get ready.
I got you.
Well, on that note, like last week, Chelsea was actually at the Road to WrestleMania show
at Madison Square Garden last Sunday. Yeah.
Oh shit.
And she sent me a video of like, what was it, Cody Rhodes music coming out, and then Chelsea's like, I'm grabbing a beer, and took the selfie video, walked like in her own entrance, like while it was beautiful.
See, this just shows like that, Ryan, you are quintessentially just a better human being than I am, because that's how you interpreted it. Really, I still have the sting of Cody Rhodes from AEW. I'm getting over it. I love what he's doing now, and that he's getting to do the things that he wasn't able to do there. But I just was like, okay, this is my time to go get a drink. That's what it was. So you were way kinder than but I love the entrance music.
She's like,
I love that idea.
Something, Cody Rhodes.
Cody Rhodes. Yeah.
Well, no, it had a vibe to it. It had an essence to it, and it had a boss ass bitch element to it.
I appreciate that.
I love. So yeah,
I was feeling incredibly passionate about getting a drink.
Cody Rhodes coming here. Too bad I'm gonna go get a beer.
Yeah, I love that.
I need beer.
Are you a songwriter? I don't know you guys. I'm like, you're definitely a songwriter.
I mean, in the words of Gucci Mane, bitch, I might be.
Fuck yeah.
In the immortal words of the famous Canadian singer Alanis Morissette, you ought to know.
Oh, tell them.
You ought to know.
So Chelsea, tell us about it. What was it like?
Well, okay. So it's like, as an actor, you like, when you get into it, you have these dreams, right, of actually working with these people that you idolize, and then you get to actually work with these people and you realize they're just people like you, right? So wrestling, I was just introduced to in like 2017, went to a bunch of events, but was like up in the like fucking nosebleed, whatever the fuck that's called. And I was in nosebleeds. I was in the fifth row for this. So it's like, this was the one part of my life where I've been watching wrestling religiously for the past 6 years now, going on 6 years, and I haven't been that up close and personal with these people, so they still were just these people on my TV. So getting to be that close to them, I mean, it was, I don't want to call it a religious experience, but I walked in with seeing these women that I've been
Rhea?
No, I walked in on, what was the first thing? I walked in on like Asuka doing, like, I call it an ass attack, only with Asuka, to Nikki Cross. So it was Becky Lynch, Candice, Nikki, Asuka against Bailey, Dakota, Io, Carmella, and Piper. And I just walked in to my fifth row seat on that.
Awesome.
And I've seen all of their journeys for like the past 6 years, and I just like, it was fucking amazing. So now that has been crossed where I'm like, those are real people. And I was like, oh my God, they're all shorter than I am. Holy fuck.
They're little.
They're so, I mean, yeah, no. It was so cool. Walking in specifically in the middle of that was awesome.
Well, I mean, speaking of little, I remember when like a video was circulating on Reddit. This, you know, it's been there forever, but like Triple H is like at like the bodybuilder competition, and Triple H is just towering over these bodybuilders who are just like, you know, posing and doing all the things. And it's like, wow, these guys are so small, and Triple H is so huge, wearing not a very flattering suit. It's super baggy. Like, bro, you've got the money. You've got the money, but
you've got the money. I even thought when I walked in, I was like, oh, they brought Nia Jax back because Piper Niven was like towering over everyone. It was, I don't know, it was amazing. It was amazing. And I just thought like, fuck, I can never fucking do that. There's no way. There's like, I can't throw myself into, and I mean, I'm broken. Brian knows, like I break things all the time. I can't do shit like that at all. It was so cool. It was so cool. I mean, I didn't realize it wasn't televised, and I'm glad it wasn't televised because I swore a lot at them and didn't realize that they could
get their attention.
Yeah, I did. No, I didn't realize that they could hear me because I'd never been that close. So I swore a lot. I used the C word a couple times. And I got 2 middle fingers from Charlotte Flair directly in my eyes. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
The like, I love that you can do that. Like, I'm always worried to do that, but then we go to like these like the Ring of Honor shows, and it's always the ladies that are like the most like outlandish. Like,
yeah,
it's always a lady. It's like suck his dick, come on, like, you know, or like kick him in the fucking ball. Like literally, we went to Ring of Honor shows, and there's this girl that's like fuck him in the ass, like literally, and I'm like, whoa, my kids are here.
Yeah, at this point too, there was still like, I was waiting for a friend to come and join me, but his flight had just gotten in, so he was super fucking late. And so on either side of me, there were like 4 seats, and it was just me. And I'm like standing up, calling Charlotte Flair the C word. I don't know if that is okay to say. But and I'm just, you know,
Cynthia. I use
Cynthia. I'm telling all the men in the battle royale that, like, you know, thank you for fighting over me. You don't stand a fucking chance. And all these people were like, who is this bitch? It was awesome.
Whenever I refer to the C word, I always call it the see you next time.
See you next time.
Yeah, see you next Tuesday. No, so there's actually, that was like my favorite word for the longest time. And the backstory with that is that whenever you type that back in the day, this is like a long time ago, like at the beginning of iPhones, whenever you type that back into the phone, it
autocorrect
Cynthia. So anytime I wanted to say that word, it would say Cynthia, and I'm like, damn it, Cynthia. I'm like, shit. And so I just stopped doing it. You out of here? See you guys. Take care. See, my roommates are leaving.
Cool.
Leaving back for Atlanta.
Roommates, yeah. I'm up in New York, and we say see you next Tuesday, but you know, it's kind of my favorite word, and I love that, like, Charlotte Flair was the one who looked me dead in the eyes, and I don't have a vendetta against her. I just have never really cared for her because of the power. You know,
surely nepotism has nothing to do with Charlotte Flair's career.
Oh, nothing.
Surely nepotism has nothing to do with it.
It is all ability. It's all ability. It's all ability.
Hey, I'm not saying that she can't do it. She can. She is, you know, the champ, and she's earned it. Yeah. But surely nepotism had
in defense of Charlotte Flair.
I'll hear it.
If it weren't for Charlotte Flair being Ric Flair's daughter and being a multiple-time WWE Women's Champion, and surrendering that belt 13 times at this point already to 7 or 8 different competitors, how do we make new stars? How do you have Sasha Banks? How do you have your Becky Lynch's, your Bayley's, your Ronda Rousey's, your Nikki Crosses? You know, how do you have these people catapulted into the next level without defeating someone like Charlotte Flair? And we'll get into Rhea in just a minute after y'all give a rebuttal.
100%. Like, you know, Charlotte, you know, okay. Like there are moments where it's like, oh, when we've all worked for our parents. I mean, I've done it. I worked for my mom for 7 years, and it's like, look, I hold you to a higher standard because everyone knows you're my kid. And so therefore, like, everyone's going to assume you're getting perks. So you have to work harder than everyone else. And Charlotte Flair has absolutely done that. She does the jump, the backflip spin. Like, I would just break my neck. And so,
yeah,
that's the first time I ever thought about that. Like yeah, she definitely did help catapult a lot of people. Because in the past, when I had a wrestling podcast with my production company partner Charles, and we just talked a lot of shit about the fact that she just took everything from everyone and she should give other people a chance. So you know what? I never thought about it from that side. So thank you.
Thing is that when it's given to you, it's given to her. She didn't actually take it. They gave it to her. So it's not really her fault. And Cody Rhodes kind of says the same thing about you. It's like, yeah, third generation, second generation, whatever. Like, yeah, it gets you in the door, but then you're held to such a ridiculously high standard afterwards. Make one fuck up, and that's all they focus on. So, like, the spotlight is literally on you. Everyone's expecting you to be that. And and the thing, yeah, and then you get some shit like Stardust, right? But yeah, it is. I actually really like Charlotte Flair. I think she's one of the greatest women wrestlers of all time. Like, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't give a shit about women wrestling, because her and the other 4 horsewomen are really what brought it, there when they came from NXT and they exploded onto it. The women's division as we know it today, she had more than 25% of the stakehold in that as to why it's there.
Definitely agree with that. The women's division would not be what it is today without her. The 4 horsewomen. I mean, fuck. And that's what got me into it, right? And I think I was also going to say that I think I sent you this video too. I don't think you can fucking see it, but she's superplexed both Zelina Vega and I think it was Liv Morgan too. And I'm going to try the best I can. You can't see shit. Never mind. But it was beautiful. I have it on video.
Hold it at an angle. If you hold it at an angle, you can see
let's
it.
See. All right. Let's. Oh.
Yeah,
can you see
right
it?
there. Ooh.
All right. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Really.
Pretty crazy.
Who is this?
Oh wait, hold on. Zooming out one more time.
That was Charlotte and who?
Zelina Vega and Liv Morgan, and it was amazing. I was just like.
That was Zelina in the pants.
Zelina in the was she in pants? I don't know.
What was it? That looked like a superplex plus a power slam or
and a power bomb. Yeah, she had who was it? Liv was sitting on the top rope and Zelina was going after her and Charlotte was like, fuck you. So it was really impressive. It was really impressive.
I am so excited for the future of the women's division in WWE. Because because there's so much depth in NXT and everybody's just like, oh, there's nobody in NXT. I'm like, no, man, there's like so many. Do you watch NXT, Chelsea?
NXT is, I mean, like it's probably my favorite thing to watch. I mean, while Vince was in charge, I mean, like now I'm just so thrilled to see all these people who I felt like weren't giving opportunities like brought up to the main roster, so that we could have these new people come in who are so fucking awesome. Right. Yeah, NXT. I'm obsessed with Gigi Dolan. It's just
how much closer can she get her name to Gigi Allen?
Well,
when I hear that, that's like the first thing I think. Like, it's like, I mean, I know that's on purpose, but
so you do know what the joke is, right?
What?
So she's Priscilla Kelly.
It's hard for me to not call her Priscilla Kelly. Yeah, continue.
Darby Allin.
Yeah, so she and Darby Allin were married. And
okay,
so you got Darby, you got Gigi Allen and Darby. Darby, what's his name? They're all punk rock singers.
Yeah.
And then Gigi Dolan took Gigi Allen and the other one. Somebody's got to help me out. But they both took their names.
They took the like opposite last name of those people.
Yeah, they took their names from punk rockers. Is essentially what they did. So
that's really cool. I did not know that.
Yeah, so her Gigi Dolan name is
Darby Crash.
Darby Crash, thank you, Darby Crash,
and
Gigi Allen. So that's Darby Allin, and then Gigi Dolan is Gigi Allen and whoever the hell Dolan was.
That's amazing. That's so cool. Her speech that she gave, like when JC left her, whatever, a couple weeks ago, just absolutely broke my heart and was so fucking awesome. I don't know, NXT, I love the storylines. I love these people and how much they're like their passion in it. I love that Mako is still there to like help train these people. I'm also like most proud of right now is Roxy. Like seeing her come from like Ring of Honor, and just how like seeing her as a 19-year-old and being like, fuck, this girl's gonna be something, and then seeing her just a couple years later be the fucking champion.
Yeah.
Amazing.
We actually talked. We actually had the podcast last week. Justin and I, we had Tom on, and we talked. We didn't talk at great length, but we talked at length of who we think the breakout stars are going to be in this women's division of NXT. And the name that stands out for me is Tiffany Stratton, because I think she's probably going to be your next Charlotte Flair type. She's athletic, she's muscular, and she has that look that WWE looks for in a superstar. Sol Ruka is pretty on fire. I'm a big fan of Alba Fire, the former Kaylee Ray, and Isla Dawn. I think that's a great tag team. I think
that's an amazing tag team. It really is. That's awesome. And I love seeing so many of the NXT UK people like over in the NXT side. And I'm just like, they're closer to me now. I actually want to go see a show. I've always wanted to see a show, but I
going on the road.
What?
Going on the road.
I did not know this.
Now you know.
So NXT used to be at a Full Sail down in Florida, right?
Yes.
And then are they still there, or they moved to where the Thunderdome were?
They're the PC now. They call it they
did that during the pandemic, I think.
Classic Wrestling something. I don't know. They're the Performance Center. That's all I know.
I got a chance to go to the to one or two shows when they were at Full Sail, though. It was really cool. Little spot, small spot, but they pack a lot of energy. It's it's always the same fans. So
but that's great. Like you have the same dedicated college kids who are going to be loud and rowdy, and it's like, yeah, just keep coming. It's great.
Yeah, for sure. But going back just a little bit to kind of like put a bow on what we were talking about, it's like all these girls and people that we're excited with coming up. It was the same way, during like the, not the Attitude Era, of like the Ruthless Aggression era. Like I just think Charlotte Flair is kind of in her John Cena period, where like we see a lot of her, and because you see a lot of her, it's like shoved down your throat or something like that. But I feel like she's one of those ones that's going to be like John Cena, because we talked about this last podcast. John Cena right now, it's like we didn't know how good we had it until it was gone, and then now John Cena back, we're like, yeah, like he's the best, but it was always John Cena sucks when we had him. So I feel like it's one of those scenarios.
I will tell you that, like, so when I think the first time I went to see wrestling live was in 2017, and I saw SummerSlam that year too. Evolution. It was Evolution, and it was
that was the whole women's card, right?
Yeah, it was the match that really got me into it was okay, don't judge me, and also like no hate to her at all, but it was Carmella versus Becky versus Charlotte. And I remember, like, of course, not knowing any of them and being so impressed with Charlotte, because I didn't know who she was, but falling in love with Becky, obviously, and just being really upset because I didn't know how wrestling worked. I didn't know face, I didn't know heel, I didn't know anything. The people were booing Charlotte, and I was like, she's really talented, what are you doing? And then seeing her so much over the years, and seeing her, yes, coming into the John Cena era, I understand why they were booing her then, but for me, it's just seeing her so much and just so often. But I will tell you, in this at the road to WrestleMania, I was the only one doing that. Everyone around me was so happy to see her still, which surprised me. It did.
And that's why she gave you the birds.
Directly in my face.
That's hilarious.
You from 2017, you horrible bitch.
I remember you. I heard you from the nosebleeds.
You broke my heart.
So guys, before we get too much into talking about wrestling, we've got a couple questions for Chelsea, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh, hit me with it. I'm scared.
Him, Jeff.
Oh, that's
What is the
my
main
name.
contributing factor to the fall of the European currency?
I'm gonna say I immediately had like 5 answers, and I don't want you guys to like get kicked off the air forever because they were all really bad.
They're wrestling questions. Sorry.
Oh, right, wrestling questions.
Charlotte Flair.
All right, I'll go ahead. I'll go ahead and start with the questions if you guys want me to. Chelsea, hello. There. Well, who is past and present? This is a 2-part question. Past and present, who's your favorite wrestler?
Bray Wyatt. All the different like versions of Bray Wyatt, the fact that he throughout every like shitstorm that's gone down in the writers' room and all that stuff, that people let him write his own shit, and that when he was let go, he like recognized that it's because he realized he was like taking too much power, and then has just every time he's rebranded himself, I just have been absolutely in love with what I'm wearing his shirt right now. Well, no, I'm wearing Uncle Howdy's shirt. What?
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you also love Code Orange, the band? That's who did his theme song.
I have that song downloaded. I didn't know their name.
Yeah, so that's what they do. They've done quite a few. They did some NXT stuff, Bleeding in the Blur. They did the same theme song for that, but Code Orange does his song, and some of the other ones they're escaping me now, but they're fucking badass band.
Now I'm gonna download all the shit. I mean, the first time I met Ryan in person, I was wearing a Fiend Bray Wyatt jacket, and I had no idea that he was into wrestling at all. Yeah,
that's how we clicked.
It is how we clicked. Yeah, I love him. I love his family. I love the Fiend. I miss the Fiend, but I'm into what's happening now, I think.
I just hope his health improves so that he can make WrestleMania, because they said something's wrong.
Yeah, I saw he got injured, right?
Something like
that. Or is that the story?
Well, no, I mean, I think it's
a lot of injuries.
Well, I think it's I don't actually know at all, but so I wore that same jacket, Ryan, to Road to WrestleMania, and he was he had a match that was announced against, I call him La Knight, against LA Knight, and he when LA Knight came out, he had this whole big speech about how Bray Wyatt was just afraid to face him, and anyone who was ready, blah blah blah, and it was who I like to call the Brown Snowman. Braun Strowman. I have nicknames for all of them, and I remember just like being so devastated, and like there were of course the row in front of me in the 4th row was like VIP people, and they like I was just listening to their whispers because I have supersonic hearing, and I guess that it was something about like some conflict or some vacation or some family thing. That's just what I heard from people in the audience, so I don't know. Okay. I hope he's okay. I hope he's.
There are a lot of people that are injured though, man. I mean, you've got what's the girl from NXT that passed out? That they're doing the Shawn Michaels. Yeah, but apparently that's a work, but it's to cover up with something else that's going on, because apparently there's something going on with her they're not really disclosing, and it could be serious. They don't know if it's going to leave her out or not. It's really kind of mysterious, but like the passing out was a work, but it was a work to cover this shoot thing that's actually wrong with her. Then you got Kofi Kingston, right? And there's actually talks about, if we're kind of doing updates on news, there's talks about potentially maybe Big E was or is going to make a WrestleMania comeback in some capacity.
Just to have him there, pop would be supersonic.
If you could have all 3 of them together at WrestleMania, even if they were just there to fuck with the Miz because they've hosted before, right. You know what I mean? I think that would be fantastic. But you've got a lot of people that are out right now, or that are injured or waiting. Like I said, Kofi's awaiting foot surgery, and then there's a thing with Bray with Bray. So I don't know. It's gotta suck to get injured around WrestleMania like that. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I mean that's your spotlight moment.
Yeah, like it's especially if you're like a big name where like you're probably going to be on the show. You know?
And it's your biggest payday of the year too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they get a special WrestleMania purse or whatever?
They get a WrestleMania bonus. That's why you have so many wrestlers on that particular show. That's why they have the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, because then you got 30 guys in a ring and they all get paid, because when they release the media rights for WrestleMania and they sell it as a DVD or whatever, everybody gets a little royalty from that.
Interesting.
Oh.
And the tickets are a little more expensive, so everybody gets a little taste of it. You know, it's like, I'll put it to you this way: I do the stock market, I do all this stuff. It's like getting a dividend at the end of the year for owning a stock for 12 months, pretty much.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Very cool. They also get that big perk at SummerSlam, and I think they get that perk at maybe Survivor Series, maybe Royal Rumble. I think the big four, but I think the biggest dividend, if you will, is at Mania.
For sure. Well,
Cool.
that was I love that you picked Bray Wyatt for that, because
It's hard for me because I generally, like, when I podcasted about this, when it was called Beyond the Bell, and it might come back, and I love that it's also BTB like you guys are, might come back on the 1st and the 2nd, hopefully, maybe, but we covered specifically women's wrestling in every federation that we were able to access. So I generally like prefer women's wrestling, but it's just something about Bray. I don't know.
So women's wrestling is what got you into wrestling, though? Like, you weren't a wrestling fan until like
not at all. No.
Revolution, I guess, or was it
Evolution?
Becky and them.
Yeah. So it was Evolution, and again, my production company partner Charles, who I did the podcast with, he's the one who took me there and then took me to SummerSlam, or I took him to SummerSlam, and then we just have been like going to events and podcasting about it, I don't know, and talking shit about the differences between the different federations. And I love the storylines, especially when they're good. I love them when they're really bad, because it gives me something to talk about, or talk shit about that's not people in my real life, which is great. I don't know. I love the artistry. I love the theater of it.
That's such a good point. I haven't even thought about that. We sometimes shit on people for talking like bad about wrestling, but I guess, you know what, if you're going to complaining about something it's like complaining about cake. Like, it's, even when cake's bad, it's still pretty damn good. And like, I feel like that's the way wrestling is. Like, and I'm
one of the things I preach all the fucking time is that, like, I don't like talking shit about anything that I can't do better, which I definitely can't do better. I don't like country music, but I'm not going to talk shit about it because I can't play it better than these fuckers, you know? So respect. But like wrestling, because I've now been to so many events and like heard people literally shit on them in front of them, I'm like, this is a good outlet to talk shit about something.
Yeah, that's true. So since you talked about, evolution and all that, so the next question that we have for you may have already given us the answer to, but what is your favorite mark out moment, or your favorite wrestling moment? It can have it can be a moment that you saw on TV. It can be maybe you meeting a wrestler, just anything involving wrestling. What is the first thing that comes to your mind?
Well, I have a mark moment and like a favorite match, I guess.
Sure.
Mark moment was, I think it was 2021 in NXT. Was it War Games? Right? Is War Games NXT?
Yeah.
It is. It was Io Shirai, now Io Sky, when she put the fucking like garbage pail over her head on the top of the fucking cell and just dove into everyone else, and I was like, holy crap, just absolutely flabbergasted at like the talent, the bravery, and I don't know, that definitely was my biggest whoa moment outside of pretty much everything in Dark Side of the Ring. And then I loved the big Sasha and Bailey match in 2020. What was that in? You know what I'm talking about.
No, that wasn't NXT. That was
No, I know, but that's my favorite match.
Oh yeah, Sasha.
Mark moment, Io, favorite match, Bailey and Sasha.
Yeah.
in
That's
2020.
Any-
Do you guys
any-
know what match I'm talking about? I'm trying to remember what it is.
I mean, I've definitely seen several of their matches. I'm not sure if it's the same one that I'm thinking of, but
I
mean,
wrote it down. Hell in a Cell.
oh, was it
Hell in a Cell
Cell?
in 2020. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where I felt like it was such like a good build up to like to that particular match. And I just felt like I could see how much love they had for each other and how much passion was there, and they just like went all out. And that Bailey had her what I called her emotional support chair at the time, and it was beautiful.
There was a match that it was probably before you started watching of when they were in NXT of Bailey versus Becky. And if you have the network, if you can go back, I'm trying to think, it was on one of the specials, I think. But it was it still for some reason sticks out in my head as one of the best matches. And Becky was playing heel, obviously, because Bailey wasn't heel for the first 90% of her career.
Mm-hmm.
And it sticks out for some reason. When you said that, it made me think of it, because like I feel like a lot of people sleep on Bailey, but like she can put on a phenomenal match. And I think just out of the four horsewomen, she's probably the least appreciated.
Yeah.
Not the best on the mic, but the girl can wrestle, man.
It's got to be really hard, like, having to be such a face and such an inspiration for so many years for so many little girls and all of that, and then turning heel and maybe like losing that. I wonder what the power dynamic and like what went through her head during that transformation.
To that point, that's exactly the reason like why John Cena never did. He was like, I'm a company man, but I'm a face, and there are millions of kids that look up to me. Like I can never turn heel, and that's exactly why. He cares too much about those kids. And what John Cena holds the world record for Make-A-Wish Foundation visits.
Correct.
Like,
holy fuck, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the world record.
It's like well over 2,000 wishes, I do believe. It's a lot.
Yeah, that's like literally what he does with his free time.
Yeah. So I get it.
Yeah.
Damn.
What was the other? We had one more, or did she hit all of them, Ryan?
I think
you can ask me whenever.
I apologize. 650 wishes.
650
granted by John Cena to the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
I mean, that's
650.
That's
I thought it was
almost
way more than that, but still, 650 is massive.
That's like 2 years straight. That's like, all right, I'm going to do one a day for every day for 2 years straight, basically. Like,
I mean, that's amazing. Then why the last time I saw him live, he must have been recently.
He wrestled like 2 weeks ago.
Well, it must have been like last year or something, and I was like, what the fuck is John Cena? Everyone just booed him. So what's that about?
It's because he has a bald spot. No,
it's because he was teaming with Kevin Owens, who's one of the biggest stars in the industry right now. I'm guessing. I don't know.
Yes. And what's the new thing that happened yesterday? Kevin Owens are trying to him and Sami Zayn are trying to do something, right?
I've got SmackDown on right now, and they're building some sort of thing with Cody, Kevin, and Sammy.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So at current, the plan is for, which I don't agree with. The plan is for KO and Sammy to battle the Usos for the tag belts at WrestleMania. They not hate to spoil it for everybody who didn't see the show, but Cody came out, he invited KO out, he invited Sammy out, they had a powwow, and then at the end of the show, Jey Uso comes out, he calls out Sammy, they go back and forth about, this and that, and how he embarrassed him and he embarrassed the bloodline and everything. And just Sammy said, I did what you couldn't do because you wanted to take out Roman from the beginning of all this, and you couldn't do it. I did what you couldn't do. And then here comes Jimmy. They beat him down. KO comes out, he clears the ring, and then he runs over to Sammy and just hugs him. And the pop of the night for that. And I guess giving them the tag titles is a good consolation prize, because Cody's going to win the championship and give Roman a little break. But Sammy you were going back to Daniel Bryan in 2014 or 2015, whatever year that was, where he was just electric and could do no wrong. And it was like, this is the guy that we want to be the champion. We don't want Batista to be the champion again. We want Brian Danielson. The question is, do we want Cody to be champion or do we want Sammy to be champion? Now, there's a bunch of us that said we want Sammy to be, yes, either one. Who gives a fuck?
I did get to meet on the Road to WrestleMania. I did meet Sammy very briefly, and he was a really nice dude. So I'm like, you go, dude. I don't know.
I still think they can do the freaking splitting the titles. Like, I don't know why Cody can't have one, Sammy doesn't have another. Like, if you really want to put Cody over, Monday night after Raw, have Cody come on and give Sammy one of the fucking belts. Literally,
I think that's amazing.
And that would literally, no one will argue about that whatsoever.
That would be cool.
It would give Cody, nuclear freaking, like, skyrocketing, like, face. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't get any more of like a thoughtless, whatever. And then as far as like Sammy, it's like everybody already thinks he deserves it and wants it and this and that. And he technically beat Roman Reigns. So, like, why not give that title to him?
Yeah.
So it sounds like, he wins, he shows up and he's like, which one do you want? Take it.
Yeah. I mean, he would probably get, whichever one that, if was it on SmackDown when he fought or no? It was at Elimination Chamber. So, I mean, I think which one it is really kind of inconsequential, whichever one that they're going to have one on the other one on. But, like, just a simple fact of like, hey, like, calling back to this is like, you already won the title. One of these titles isn't really mine, right? You already won the title. Yeah. You deserve this, and framing it like that. And it's just going to make him seem so selfless, and everybody's going to, it's going to be like, oh yeah. And like, I'm sure there'll be people like, oh, well, he didn't get a chance to fight for the title. But, like, the thing is like, he really did fucking win. He pinned Roman Reigns 1, 2, 3. The ref wasn't there. Like, you can go back off of that. And then you can have Roman come back if you want and regain that, and get that title and be like, hey, you didn't beat me, blah, blah, blah. That's still my title. And then have Sammy beat him for real at fucking Backlash or something, like that.
I still like the idea, though, of like, we talked about a couple weeks ago, is like, Roman is like Thanos, like he's in God mode. And so it takes more than one guy to beat him. And
I think he's a god too.
Yeah.
Continue.
Well, pump those brakes there, sister.
I will.
But no, it'd be cool if, like, it took, it was a triple threat or, fatal 4-way, and then, KO gets knocked out. And then, then it comes down to Cody and Sammy, and they like both do their finishers, and they both collapse on Roman, and they both pin him at the same time.
I think that's the idea I originally pitched. That's what I wish would happen. Triple threat, and the whole storyline of no one man can beat Roman Reigns,
right?
And make it to where you keep it that way. There's still not one person on the roster that can beat him. It took two people to beat him. That keeps him as strong as possible while taking the belts off of him. There's really no other stronger way to take the belts off of him other than, an interim champion while he goes away on freaking vacation or something like that, But yeah, I mean, it's, I at this point, Rob, like you're saying, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. It looks like it's going to be the tag teams, which, I mean, who doesn't want to see, KO and Sammy just fucking, run the gamut with like everybody. I mean, the two of them together is going to be amazing as tag team partners. And then ultimately when they split up and they fight forever again, like it's going to be a lot of like really good television. So, it's again, like we were talking about here, it's like we're complaining about cake. It's like all the shit that's going on right now in this is really good.
Cake is still good.
Is it the flavor that we want? Maybe not necessarily, but it's all still really good. So it's like,
I feel the same way. I'm so thrilled with how everything's been going, since Triple H came in.
How long has it been since we can say that about wrestling?
It's been a long time. Well, it's interesting because Kevin Owens gave an interview about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, before this Sami Zayn bloodline story started. And they said, hey man, what's something that you want to accomplish in wrestling? And he said, I really want to be tag champs with Sammy. And that's probably the last check off on my, wrestling bucket list. So, I mean, it looks like they're going to get their wish, but at the same time, God damn it, it's just like, KO's been champ. Cody needs to be champ. Sammy, has been a worker, one of the most solid workers for over 20 years. The man wrestled in a mask, for Christ's sake, in the indies. And it's just like this is a guy that deserves his run as champion. It's the same thing with Xavier Woods. I mean, this guy deserves a title run. Big E got his, Kofi got his. I mean, if you position these people correctly, you can make them champions. Anybody can be a champion if they are positioned correctly. Look at Matt Cardona, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the former Zack Ryder. I mean, here's a guy who got fired from WWE, who was an entertaining guy. He was an Intercontinental Champion, a U.S. Champion, a Tag Champion. The only thing he didn't win was the big one. And now he's on the indies and he's running the damn thing. He's called himself the indie god to the point where he's now wearing an Indiana Jones style fedora hat to the ring because he just does what he wants. And when you have control over your character and you can bet on yourself and you can really get over with the crowd, I mean, it's a done deal.
Oh, Rob, you mean like when you can control your own narrative?
Like Bray Wyatt did.
Forget about those guys. Forget about those guys for a minute. We're talking about people that.
But like, talk about Zack Ryder and talk about Matt Cardona, right? Like, what another great example of WWE fumbling the ball, because they gave him his WrestleMania moment. It was beautiful, and then they did nothing with it. Like, everybody loved Zack Ryder in WWE. He was another one of those things that was just pushed down. Now, the question is, if that would have happened in the Triple H era, would we have seen something more like organic, like with Sammy, and seen him coming up and get a little bit, instead of just being pushed down?
Honesty moment, I don't even know who that is.
Who, what? Matt
Zack
Cardona?
Ryder.
Oh, Zack Ryder is Matt Cardona.
Oh, okay,
That's who he was. That's who he was in WWE. So
got it.
Cody's best bud, right? And he did a couple matches in AEW, but never got signed. And then he's just running rampant on the indies right now. But he had the IC title, a very, very short-lived IC title run when he won it at a ladder match at WrestleMania. That I was at that WrestleMania, me and David. That's the one that we went to in Texas when he won that, and it was the biggest pop of the night.
That's a damn good one.
Nobody gave a shit about Brock and Roman. Nobody gave a shit. Okay, maybe when Shane fell off the Hell in the Cell crazy, whatever thing, Undertaker pushed him off and did that crazy, because I legitimately thought Shane was dead. Following that far, seeing that live in person was the scariest. I did not think that was going to happen. But as far as like pop for Happy of the Night, that was the biggest pop of the night at WrestleMania. And, but they do that shit so often, and I think I've got to just chalk it up to being, the Vince era. So I'm hoping that we see less of that now. And I think, at least giving Sammy his shine with the title run for the tags, it's good enough. You can look, Sammy, the way he's at, he's going to be on fire for a long time. You can give him that title shot down the road, and it's not going to mean any less. You know what I mean?
Speaking of people crafting their own story, AEW had a beautiful opening this past week on Dynamite with MJF and the 4 pillars of AEW.
Oh,
that was a great segment.
That was a great segment.
Great segment. What about his Reba Mitzvah?
It was hysterical.
Chelsea, are you an AEW fan?
Yes, but I didn't see this, and I haven't looked at the highlights. So please, a brief, if you will, what went down.
So MJF is now 26, 27, whatever. So he's having his Reebok mitzvah, which is not really a thing until
That's hilarious.
Until you're 82, right?
You have to be 83 years old.
83. But he said he's so ahead of his time that he's doing it. So when he walks out, honestly, the highlight of the night, and I think somebody shared it. Maybe it was you, Rob. Somebody shared it in the group. The highlight of the night is when he walked out with all the girls around him, and he had his was it the yarmulke on the head. It said MJF, and on the tagline, in AEW they always have like some type of bit of trivia or information.
Oh, right.
Jewish AF. on top.
Adorable.
And it just went from that. They did the dance around, and just like no one has ever finished a segment or promo in AEW, I'm pretty sure that's a stat. I don't think a single person has ever finished a promo or segment in AEW without getting interrupted. He gets interrupted by who? None else, Jungle Boy, right? And then Jungle Boy comes out, they start this thing or whatever, they starts talking, he starts to rebuttal, and then all of a sudden Jungle Boy gets interrupted by who? None else, Sammy Guevara. And he comes out, right? They come out, sit in the other side. So now there's 3 posts, right? And they start going at it. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Darby Allin music hits. And then they come out. And then so every single one of them starts to talk shit and tells them their little story, their sob story, whatever it is, you know, that made it happen, why they should be there, why they should be the champion. MJF starts to go back on each one, and then they interrupt him again, and it, you know, goes boom, boom, boom. And then they just kind of like all start arguing or whatever. So, but it was just a fantastic segment. It was done very, very well. And I think it highlighted each person well and made everybody seem strong.
And completely unique. Like why, like their story of why they should be champion is like, yeah, you can't argue with that. Like totally.
Is there someone new in the writers' room there?
Maybe.
Well, I don't know that there's someone new. I just, you know, I'm hoping that you know, he maybe hires some people other than him, because, you know, we get sometimes we get flack on here for being like AEW fanboys or whatever, and we love AEW, we love wrestling, but like in my opinion, we tell how it is, and AEW has been shit for the last at least 4 months, probably 6 months. But when it started, I watched the first episode of Dynamite, right? And we all watched, you know, All In, and we watched, you know, Double or Nothing when they first came out to start all this stuff, and they were just, it was by far and away the best product for wrestling for at least 2 years when it first came out. And it's just, you know, gone downhill. And I think it's because Tony Khan had all this in his head and his heart that he wanted. I think he's gotten a lot of that out. And I think he's got so much going on, and it's almost the same shit that happened with WCW. They've got all this product. Now they've got 2 hours of Dynamite. Now they've got an hour of Rampage, and he's got Dark, and he's got Elevation. And now they're doing this.
And there's the YouTube shit too, right?
Yeah, well, that's Dark and Elevation. And then they're doing this behind the scenes stuff where like he's promoting that. And then now apparently they're doing another program that's going to come on like Saturday mornings that's going to be wrestling oriented. And then on top of that, he's got his football team, and he's got his, you know, or he's got the Jaguars, and he's got the soccer. So like he's doing so much, man. It's like, he's really struggling right now, and he needs to just, you know, grow a pair,
delegate,
let else have the reins to do something and try and stop doing everything. I think it's a classic case of that.
It's a classic case of not enough butter over too much bread.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. But I mean, we still love it. We're still here. We still watch it. I'm thankful that WWE is finally getting good, because I'm not watching AEW as much as I used to. I used to watch Rampage. I don't even watch Rampage anymore. If something happens,
I watch Rampage this morning. It's kind of like
it's an afterthought.
It's an afterthought. I mean, like Brody King fought Daniel Garcia, and it was surprising because Garcia won, and I was like, oh, that's actually interesting, because usually, you know, you watch Rampage and you can just, it's predictable, kind of like how Elevation and Dark is.
It's superstars and main event at best.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
I always like, okay, I'm gonna like truncate this as best as possible. In my years of watching AEW, I always just like, you know, NXT was the pinnacle for me, above the main roster and everything else. But I've had fluctuations in really enjoying AEW, whether it's Rampage, Dark, whatever it is. And just got sick at one point of like seeing the same shit over and over again, and started to like it less, and then got back into it when Impact started doing that, and got more into AEW. And then my favorite wrestler, I stopped seeing, Abaddon, and I think she deserves the world, and I like stopped seeing her.
Where is Abaddon?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Big quintessential problem.
She's doing Dark and Elevation matches still. She's still with AEW. I think they just don't really know what to do with her, because she's basically a female fiend, right?
Yeah.
And I think when I saw her, I was like, holy fucking shit, I got so excited for this because it was something new, it was something different.
How
She
you
is
So excited about her. But to like finish that, my big concern right now is that, like, I mean, to use Ember Moon as an example, you know, there's been lots of talk of the fact that maybe people aren't getting the like proper training or as much training because Tony Khan's overwhelmed, and that I mean, it's just concerning people. Where I forget who her match was against, but she literally dropped her on her head, and like that it's not on par with.
they drop Ember Moon on her head, or
No, Ember Moon dropped someone on their head, which
I
is
don't
just
agree. Ember Moon's got all the training in the world between NXT.
yeah, totally. But that's, I mean,
don't
that's just
like-
one example where like people are concerned, or I've like read that people are concerned that people are like people coming up and first signing, maybe even and training with AEW, are not getting the training that they need, and bad shit happens.
Yeah.
More so than in most federal. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, it could be. I would think most of the people he signs, they've already been, you know, they've had their tenure in the indies. So, but just an indie match and wrestling in front of some people in a VFW is completely different from being on live television. And that could have a lot to do with it, is that they are giving people chances. So I almost feel like maybe that's like a catch-22. It's like either you give these people chances, or, you know, not everybody has the performance center. I mean, they've got the Nightmare Factory that a lot of people come through. And then they've got basically the indies and Ring of Honor that people go through, or they have in the past. And now, you know, Ring of Honor is this whole nother product, which we didn't even talk about that.
And again, I don't actually fucking know. I just have heard.
But the thing that sucks is that, and I mean, I don't know how, like you said, I don't know how much you actually do watch AEW, but like the AEW's women's product has sucked. Like it's never really been great. They've had Britt Baker was amazing, and it's just now getting to where it's starting to be interesting to me now with Tony Storm and Ruby and
Soraya.
You what?
Soraya.
Yes, Soraya. Psoriasis. It's Soraya. I'm sorry.
Soraya.
I always want to say Soraya, but it's
Soraya.
Soraya.
So did they like coin Soraya and now she's Soraya?
Well, I think that's her actual name, right?
Is it? I don't know. Yeah, but her name in AEW is Soraya. And they just this past Wednesday, they've kind of like really kind of gelled together. They did a really good promo on Dynamite, if you guys saw that, like where the three of them came out and were just basically talking trash about the entire division. And, you know, they kind of had their own unique thing. So this last week's Dynamite was one of the better Dynamites that I've seen in
the triple threat tag team match, the trios match. Oh,
that was fantastic.
This is good to know, because maybe it'll get me start watching again, because I love Ruby, you know.
The in-ring talent is always fantastic in AEW. Yeah. It's the in-ring, as far as like what happens from bell to bell, is some of the best wrestling you see anywhere. And in my opinion, it's better than most of the stuff, minus the very top tier stuff in WWE. It's better than most of the product that you see in that, unless you're talking about like something Sheamus or Gunther or, you know, or Sammy or Cody's involved in. Like even their first match, their mid-card, everything is just fantastic. But as far as their storylines, have really suffered since all this product's been out. And not everybody is as polished on the mic over there as like an MJF or a Chris Jericho or, you know, or somebody of that nature. So a lot of it just comes off as just vanilla, you know, watered down muddle or whatever. But
I agree with that.
The girls in I don't know what they're going to call. They're calling themselves what are they calling themselves?
The Outcasts.
The Outcasts. They're calling the Outcasts. Yeah.
I didn't even know Tony Storm was in AEW, so thank you.
Yeah, she was a champ. She was the interim champ, and they talked about that, how she's just so much bullshit that they called her the interim champ before Jamie Hayter took it from her. So it's starting to get better. So if you are a women's wrestling fan, I would say at least tune in a little bit and like, or DVR it and try to go to the segments, because some of the stuff that they're doing is good. That's the first good stuff that I've actually liked in the women's division at AEW since when Britt Baker was on top of her shit. And she was like,
when Britt was on top, like when she first and like continued to be on top, and like you could see when she was like losing it a little bit, but she never lost, but like, you know, where maybe you had doubts, but she maintained everything. I was with her throughout that whole thing. I don't care for Red Velvet or Jade Cargill, and I feel like that just completely ruined me in a way. But no, I mean, you got, I mean, Ruby and Ember and Tony. I mean, that's enough. Fine, I'm sold. Fine.
Yeah.
But bring back Abaddon.
Jade is gonna be one of the biggest stars in women's wrestling eventually. She doesn't have it, that she's got the it factor, and she's a crazy athlete. But like, to your point, Chelsea, she needs a little bit more time in the ring. She needs a little bit more training, and she definitely needs some more. She either's got to have like a heater with her talking or something, because right now she's basically like the female Goldberg. You know,
It's just like it's the same thing over and over again, and I'm just like, I don't even believe you.
I mean, she does need. I mean, she needs to get better on the mic, and that will come, and it just takes the experience. But you gotta have like any comedian, you gotta bomb a million times before you start hitting those home runs.
as much as I hate
my-
to say it, I think Jade would do so good for going to the Performance Center and coming to WWE. That's got to be one of the big people that WWE are wanting to sign.
Well, now with Triple H there, I think that, yeah, maybe it could work.
She could be champion within 18 months probably in WWE.
It'd be awesome to see Jade versus Rhea. That'd be insane.
I was thinking Jade versus Bianca. Yeah.
I was thinking Jade versus Flair, because like, I mean, just the outlandishness of both of them. Like, I feel like she could be the one that could, dethrone Flair with the right story or whatever. But yeah, I mean, like I said, the women's division is getting better in AEW, but it is never, other than, I'll tell you, my favorite story with the with the women's division was when Britt Baker was and she's not even part of the company anymore, but
I didn't even know that.
who's the no Britt Baker is, I'm saying the girl that she was going against, Big Swole. When her and Big Swole, they first started coming out, and Big Swole was throwing Britt Baker in the trash can and the dumpster and stuff like that. You remember that, Rob?
Yeah.
Like that was some great television. They just had some natural headbutting chemistry. And then when Britt Baker, she wasn't even wrestling, she was in a wheelchair. You know what I mean? But like, that was so entertaining. And I feel like it hasn't gotten, it's been since then, since it's been like compelling television for me.
I want to go back and see that. I want to look that up. Ryan, will you send that to me?
Yeah,
Someone send that to me.
I'll send it to you, Chelsea. Don't worry.
Yeah, if you could find on YouTube like Swole or Big Swole versus Britt Baker, like, oh man, it was so hilarious, dumping trash on her. And like,
I mean, nothing has ever really held up to the Britt Baker the lights out match with
Thunder Rosa.
Great match. That match, like, that is the pinnacle of women's wrestling to me.
Yeah, that is one of the best women's matches, at least in the last decade, for sure.
Wait, what year was that? Have I seen that? Ryan,
I will send it to you, Chelsea. I
love Thunder Rosa so much. I'm sure I actually have seen it. I love her so much.
She's going to be back here fairly soon, I think. But apparently not everybody likes her in the back.
Oh.
Apparently there's heat on her in the locker room, but I don't know, how much
that makes me sad.
But
a lot of people think that she's sandbagging and no selling and making people look bad. So
yeah, I've always liked her. I just think she's been like,
I think she's great.
She's just a little bit vanilla. I feel like she would be better as a heel naturally. I think she doesn't need to be a face.
Well, I mean, like, every time Thunder Rosa got on the mic, it was, her ability, top notch. It's that bite mic skills, like the John Cena. Like, I mean, John Cena is the king on the mic, honestly, or one of the kings. And it's like, yeah, he's a face, but he would tear you down, like to your soul, embarrassing. Like when he tore down Austin Theory, when he tore down Roman Reigns.
Dude,
like,
he buried Theory,
buried him, buried Roman.
Buried Theory.
Yeah,
I mean,
Theory's going to beat him at WrestleMania, though.
I have a feeling that you're right, Rob. I think that's probably going to be. I mean, it's going to be the ultimate heat on the next night on Raw for sure.
Yeah,
like
you got to make new stars. John Cena's on his way out the door. I mean, he's already has 2 feet out the door. He's just got an arm hanging in the WWE.
You can't even see that,
Road to WrestleMania. It was like the cell, whatever the fuck. The cage came down and it was Austin versus Seth, and that was just, I was so just proud of him, of Austin Theory. He just completely surprised me seeing him come up on the way and all of that. He was like a monster. He was like a beast. I was like, this guy's a fucking star.
He'll be one of the biggest stars in the company in the next 5 years as long as he stays healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, boys, we're hitting our 1 hour mark. I know Chelsea has some obligations today, so let's.
I gotta check out.
Brian, Justin's got more St. Patty's to celebrate. I need to start celebrating St. Patty's. So
more St. Patty's.
Justin, what's that sign say?
We'll all be fooked.
You may indeed if
we'll
you
all
like.
be fooked. We'll all be fooked.
You don't know how many guys came up to me and said that. And I was like, not by me, you won't.
Fucking, I'm stealing that. Like, I'm just gonna say that to people, or ask people to read that.
Yeah, there's so many drunk people, and it took some of them, they immediately got it, but the best was the ones where they had to say it 3 or 4 times, and by the 4th time, I was like, nope, say it like you're Irish, say it, and then they say, and as soon as they say it, they realize what they just said, and they're like, oh fuck. We came across this big crowd in front of this party or whatever, and I just held it up, and literally I got a fucking Road Warriors pop out of everybody when I held the sign up. It was ridiculous. Like, it's the best $4 I ever spent in my life.
That's awesome.
Well, boys and ladies, Chelsea, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I mean,
love
like,
the time.
I can talk shit about wrestling, shit meaning a good thing, like whenever you want.
Cool.
Well,
I got lots of opinions.
If you bring your podcast back, let me know, and I'll come on and talk Shimmer and Stardom with you.
Hell yeah. You guys are the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Real, absolutely. We will definitely have a round 2. This has been good.
Yeah.
So there's my hangover.
Yes. Like us on Instagram, Apple Podcasts, all good stuff. Tell us what you want, what you don't want. Tell us we suck. To our 6 or half dozen other fans, who knows?
Exactly.
And Charlotte Flair, I'm watching you.
Chelsea, before we go real quick, are you in town? Where do you live? You live in Atlanta area?
New York.
Oh shit. Okay, never mind.
But I'm in Atlanta. I'm in
our WrestleMania party.
No, I'm in Atlanta like pretty much every couple of weeks right now.
Yeah.
When you're down, give us a shout. Thank you so much for being on today. For Chelsea, Muscles, Chef, I'm Coach Rob. Happy wrestling, everybody. See you next week.
Peace.